Hello and welcome to my second video about the Fractal Audio FM3. Today I want to show you the similarities and differences between the two devices. Okay, the most obvious difference is the AXE-FX III is a rack unit, the FM3 is a floor unit. The FM3 has 3 switches, the AXE-FX has no switches. And of course the AXE-FX III has much more power. And to be exact, how much more power, you can see that in my reamping session that will come later in this video, approximately half. So the FM3 is has approximately half the power of the AXE-FX III, and I have no problems dialing in a sound consisting of 1 amp, a reverb, a cap with 2 speakers. You can load 2 IRs in the cap block. In the AXE-FX III you can load 4 IRs in the cap block, and you can use 2 cap blocks, which on the on the FM3 you can only use 1 cap block, only 1 amp and only 1 reverb. So there are some other differences, and especially that is in the block section. So I just put a screenshot on the screen. You can see the blocks of the AXE-FX III in the upper half of the screen, and you can see the blocks of the FM3 in the lower half of the screen. So you can look for yourself if there's something you would be missing if you buy the FM3 instead of the AXE-FX III. My opinion is AXE-FX III for home use, for studio use and for big gigs, and the FM3 for live use, regular live use, small gigs, normal middle-sized gigs. So I'm having both, so why not? I mean, if you can only afford one, I would probably suggest the FM3. You can go with the FM3 and an FC6 and have all the possibilities switching wise. And to be honest, I would never use 2 amps live simultaneously. I would only use 1. And the amp models sound the same, the amp models are the same, and also live 2 caps at once, I mean 2 IRs in 1 cap block is, in my opinion, plenty. So I would not miss anything, but your applications can be totally different. So maybe you need different reverbs, different delays, you need more caps, you have a different signal path. So for you, the AXE-FX could be the thing you need live. For me, it's actually totally sufficient to use the FM3. Okay, so other differences I encountered during my short time with the FM3 is on the output section. In the AXE-FX III you have a special EQ for an out EQ for channel 1 and channel 2, and in the FM3 you only have it for channel 1. That can change in a future firmware, so I don't know if that stays like this. Then another thing is, how can I put this? If you adjust the input sensitivity of input 1. In the FM3 you only have like steps, like 6 dB steps, which is totally sufficient, but in the AXE-FX III you can like very fine-tune your input, but that doesn't really matter. I listened to it and it doesn't really matter. So, but just you are aware, right? The preset switching takes a little longer on the FM3, but the scene switching within a preset is totally inaudible. So you switch and it's there. There's no break whatsoever. It's right there. I can feel any like latency or something. So that's what most people wanted to know. And that's what I can tell you. Preset switching has a little gap of about 100 milliseconds or something. I can't like really define it. You can hear it, right? You really can hear it. If you're playing through a preset change, you would hear a gap in your playing. That's the way it is in firmware 1.01. That can change. But in the AXE-FX you also have like a slight gap. Not as much of a gap as in the FM3, but you have a gap. So I would always work with scenes anyway, and would only change presets between songs. So that doesn't matter at all for me. Can be different for you, so I'm just telling you that's the way it is. Okay. Now we come to the sound differences, and I don't want to spoil it, so let's just record a track and we reamp it with the FM3. But I mean, we don't reamp it, we record simultaneously, and then I reamp it with the AXE-FX III with exactly the same preset, and we listen if it sounds different. One hint, which most of you probably don't know, you can export presets from the FM3 and open them in the AXE-FX III, and vice versa. Just the blocks in the AXE-FX III that are not available in the FM3 will not show up. And also you have 2 rows less and 2 lines less in the grid. That's the difference. Okay, let's go to reamping and have fun. I have recorded a guitar track with the FM3, and I simultaneously recorded the output 1 and 2 of the FM3, so we can hear the sound that's coming out of the FM3, but I additionally recorded the input that's coming over USB audio 3. So I additionally recorded that, and I will now send this to the AXE-FX III, reamping it with the AXE-FX III, so if there's any difference in sound, we should hear it. But first we have to transfer the preset. So now I have here open FM3 Edit with the special preset. I will switch this to scene 1, and then I say preset, export preset. I've saved that somewhere on my multiple hard drives. Yeah, let's save it here. BK demo sound, you see it here. Done. And you see here, CPU is at like 74, 76, 75% here. You see it here. Okay, let's put away FM3 Edit and open AXE-Edit. So I will find myself an empty preset. Let's use whatever, this one. And then I say import preset. No, that's the wrong one. That's what I tested. Let's see. There's the one. BK Demo Sound 6. Let's open that one. Whoop. And you see it opens without any problems, which is great, I think. I mean, this is like the first device, and firmware is still 1.01, so it works. And now you see CPU is at 46, 43%. And I would say, considering that you always have a safety margin of 10%, it's about half the power of the FM3. All the way around. The FM3 has half the power of the AXE-FX III. So we have the same preset here. You see, there's one thing I will now change. I will now change the input to in USB, which is one thing the FM3 cannot do. In the FM3 you have to do it another way. You have to change the input setting on the device to USB instead of analog. Here you can just use the USB in block, which is much more convenient, but there have to be differences by less than half the price, right? Okay, so now the only thing we have to do, computer output 7.8 I have to use to go in this in USB block. So we go to Logic Audio. I have to send this. This is what I recorded with the FM3. I will have to send this to computer output 7.8. But first, I will have to change the audio driver, which I still have on FM3. So you can see that I really have the devices connected. See here, AXE-FX III. Now my audio driver is the AXE-FX III. Okay. And now I can send this to output 7.8. Let's have a listen if it works and if it comes to. Yes! So it's working, right? Let's put that to the side again here. And we still have to change the scenes, which I will conveniently now do in the software, so I don't have to go over there and put a third camera on the floor, right? Okay. Also, already enough with 2 cameras and screen recording, and I had to do one take again because I forgot to put on 1 camera, so yeah, my bad, but let's now do it. We have to do another audio here, and the input of this audio will be 1, 2, stereo 1, 2, which should be yes. This is the input from the AXE-FX III. Okay, put this on record. This one is mute, this one is playing, and let's do that and switch the scenes accordingly. Okay, so at the end of the video, I want to show you the two things I recorded, like switching between each other. So I put on the FM3, the AXE-FX8, the FM3, the AXE-FX8 at the same time. So you can maybe close your eyes and listen if you can hear something, some difference. For me, I have to say I don't hear any difference. So for me, those devices sound exactly identical. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked it, thumbs up. If you like it even more, subscribe. And if you have any questions down in the comments, you can ask me anything you like. Maybe I answer. Okay, see you then. Bye.